Good evening, guys. Allyssa LaScala here from Fit with Liz, and tonight I'm going to be talking to you guys about how to properly take your measurements. So we all know if we're going to reach some type of health, fitness, weight loss goal, in order to be able to assess your progress, you want to make sure that you're taking these measurements correctly. You want to make sure that you're taking the correct parameters to be able to evaluate whether your healthy eating and all the workouts that you're doing at the gym and all of these efforts that you're making are actually going to be paying off. So I actually had a customer of mine reach out to me this morning. She's been on the Physique line and several of the products that I talked about earlier this week. She's been on them, did the cleanse, seeing great results. And she was asking me, I don't know if I'm taking my measurements the right way. And I said, well, what do you mean? And she said, well, I don't know if I'm measuring like enough areas, if I'm doing it the right way. And so I was like, you know what? You just inspired me. I'm going to do a Facebook Live tonight about this because I feel like this is so important, guys, because if you're putting in all this hard work and you're not able to accurately assess your progress, then it can be extremely frustrating. And there be maybe a couple different things that you're not taking into consideration that could be really skewing the results that you're seeing in your measurements. So there are multiple different ways that you can assess your progress, guys. There's so many different tools. You have the skin calipers. If you guys have ever done like the pinch test where you pinch the back of your arm, usually your side, maybe a part on your thigh. You have the bioelectrical impedance. I know when I used to go to LA Fitness, you'd walk in and they have like the Game Boy looking thing where you hold it there and it's supposed to send like an electrical path through your body, how fast it travels, says how much muscle mass you have and what your metabolic age is and all these different things. You have progress pictures. You have tape measurements that we're going to be talking about tonight. You have the scale. Can't forget about the scale. But I love focusing on the non-scale ways of assessing progress. So what I want to talk to you guys about is a couple different tips that you want to make sure that you're keeping in mind when you're going to assess your progress through no matter what measurement tool it is. But the first thing I want you guys to keep in mind is making sure that the variables are as consistent as possible. We want to eliminate these variables. So the things I want you to think about is, first of all, the time of the day that you're taking these measurements. Taking them first thing in the morning is what I suggest for all of my clients and what I would suggest for each and every one of you. And here's why, because I don't know if you've ever done this, but I know I have. Have you tried weighing yourself first thing in the morning and then at night you go and weigh yourself and you're like, wow, I'm like 4 or 5 pounds heavier? Well, yeah, and so it's going to skew your progress pictures, your tape measurements, everything. So make sure that it's at the exact same time of the day. You don't have as much water in your system. You don't have as much food in your system if you do this as soon as you wake up in the morning. The second thing I want you guys to make sure that you think about is thinking about the types of workouts that you're doing around the day that you take these measurements. So say you take your measurements 1 day a week. And you take them on Tuesdays, but you switched up your workouts and you started doing, leg day the night before as opposed to, you just did a cardio day. So when you go and measure your legs the next morning, you could be holding more water in there. So you have to think that the lack of consistency to the type of workouts that you did the night before could end up skewing your measurements. Think about the dinner that you had the night before, what you consumed as far as foods, the day prior. Having something that was very, like say you had a cheat meal on Monday night and you take your progress pictures and your measurements on Tuesday morning, when normally you don't have a cheat meal on Mondays. You're going to be retaining a lot more water. Your body is going to be balanced a lot differently than when you just had your regular, like chicken, like lean meat and carb and veggie source. You guys get where I'm going with this. So all of those variables really, really make a difference. Progress pictures, I just had this conversation with one of my clients. She's totally understands what I'm saying now, but especially females, if you're using bathing suits as an outfit when you go and take your progress pictures, or you're using a sports bra and some type of bathing suit bottom or shorts or whatever it may be, use the same outfit, guys, every single time. Guys, it's a little bit easier, but girls especially, like think about the way that a different bikini can fit you. Like I know some lay really soft on my hips and there's other ones that squeeze the death out of them. Or if you have like a pair of shorts that, you're wearing spandex shorts versus like relaxed pajama shorts, or you have like a sports bra like the one I have on now versus one that may be like really, really too tight that you've had since, like middle school and you feel like, it's really restricting here. So when you end up taking these pictures, they're gonna look completely differently. Also, making sure that you have the angle of your camera the exact same, whether you sit it on your dresser or you have it holding up or you have someone else taking the pictures. Guys, the outfit that you're wearing, the light that you take them in, the time of day that you take them, the person you have taking them, you can have a progress picture look completely different from, someone taking it up at this angle versus if they're taking it from the ground, making you look like you have a double chin. I mean, it makes a huge difference. So all those variables are so important. Use the same spot, use the same lighting, the same time of day, the same outfit, the same person doing your pictures or taking your tape measurements. It does make a difference who you have doing your skin caliper or who you have doing your tape measurements. So making sure that you eliminate all those variables, that's my number one tip. Number two is making sure that you use plenty of measuring points. So this is what my customer was asking me about earlier. And so you have to think about this, guys. If we're trying to measure inches lost and we are just doing, especially females, like say we're just doing our chest here, we're doing our waist here, like using the belly button as a guide, and then you're doing the hips, going with like the roundest part, going towards like mid glute area. You have to think that you're leaving out like some of the most important parts to some females is the arms. They want to make sure that they don't have the bingo arms or the chicken wings or whatever you want to call them. So you can lose inches in so many more spots than just those three places. Make sure that you're measuring your arms. People that hold weight more in their neck or around their face, measure your neck. I suggest my clients to measure their neck. Measure your forearm, measure your thigh. You can measure your calf. Everyone holds weight and deposits fat in different spots. So the more you do it, the better, because you don't want to not account for inches that were lost. And if you don't measure those areas, you're not accounting for those inches. So the more you do it, the better. With my clients, I think I have like 6 or 7 that I lay out that I would like them to measure. Those are like minimum, but I also leave blank spaces on the tracker that they receive to be able to write in whatever they want, whatever they may feel would be an area of concentration that they want to be able to assess as they go along their journey. And then when it comes to making sure that you're measuring the same spots every time, you want to make sure you're measuring it the same way. And I'll give you this example. First of all, you want to make sure that you choose whether you want relaxed or flexed muscles. So say you're looking at the bicep here and I have it relaxed or I have it flexed, or then I have it relaxed and I have it hanging by the side. It's going to give you a completely different measurement, guys. So using that, making sure that you are, if you're measuring your leg, make sure, okay, am I going to put weight on my leg and flex my thigh, or am I going to, shift to my other side and measure my thigh in a relaxed state? Making sure that, when you're measuring your waist, are you flexing your core, or are you going to leave it nice and relaxed? Okay, so that makes a total difference. And then also making sure that you're measuring the same exact area each time. And this is what I mean by that, especially for the arm and for the thigh. So when you're measuring your arm, if you're measuring it relaxed, I suggest flexing it first. For example, finding the peak of your bicep and using that as your guide. So then once you flex it, relax it, and you know that that is your area of measure. When you're doing your thigh, what I suggest is finding the mid part of your knee, go to your patella, and then measure up. Am I going to measure 2 inches up or 4 inches up? Choose whatever you want, but make sure that you measure that each time. Line this up with mid of your patella, and then measure, okay, this is 2 inches up, so I'm going to measure the circumference there. Because say your first week, you measure 2 inches above the knee. And then your second week, you measure 4 inches above the knee. And then you're all bummed out because you get the bigger measurement your second week and you're like, oh my God, I've been doing everything right. I'm sticking to the plan and I have no idea why my thigh just got fatter. It didn't. You just measured the wrong area, or it was just a slight difference. But guys, it really makes a difference. So just make sure that you're keeping track of that. Making sure that you're measuring the right and the left side. That makes a huge difference. Some sides may be holding more water than others. Keeping it consistent. And then, if there's any questions, by the way, you can make sure that you post them. But if I miss anything as people join here, I'll be sure to answer later. But if you guys don't have your own, measurement tracker and you're not part of the Fit with Liz email list family, go to fitwithliz.com, subscribe to my email list. In the Metabolic Jumpstart Guide that I have, that is absolutely free just for joining the list, I have a measurement tracker in there. So if you want to know, some of these tips completely laid out for you, written out, spelled out, and you don't want to have to watch this video over and over again, absolutely feel free to go subscribe. This is like a 16, 17 page document about, my best tips for starting your own journey. Yeah, Christina, I get your pics tomorrow. Yes, I do. And I know that you try and take them in the same spot. You have that same, cheetah bikini that you send it in every time. You're very consistent with it. So yes, absolutely. So if you guys want something that, that, you know, really lays these out for you in detail and, you know, has it laid out for you to write in your before measurements, and then week 1, week 2, week 3. Go and subscribe to the list. You'll get this for free. And I hope that this helped you guys out a little bit with making sure that you're tracking your measurements correctly. So make sure that you go to fitwithliss.com, subscribe. If you guys have any questions, again, post them below. And if you have anything else that you'd like to see over this week or this weekend, let me know. I'm here to help you guys. Have a good night.